There we go, Battie, we are live now.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Battie Fung. On behalf of Academia Asia, allow me to thank you all for joining us for the webinar of Headington School. Headington School is one of the most prestigious girls' schools in Oxford. We are honored to have invited Mrs. Julia Mullen, Director of Marketing and Admissions, to give us a presentation of the school, and Mrs. Caroline Jordan, Headmistress, together with the senior staff to answer your questions. Without further ado, may I now pass you over to Mrs. Julia Mullen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Battie, for introducing us in such a lovely way. And thank you everyone for joining us this evening. It's really lovely to have this opportunity to talk to you about our wonderful school here in Oxford. I'm really pleased that Battie has given us this opportunity to talk to you. We have been working with Academic Asia for very many years now, and we've been welcoming students from Hong Kong since the 1970s. So you're in very, very safe hands indeed. I'd just like to introduce the other people on the screen with me just now. We have Anna Wrigley, who is our international registrar, and she would look after you throughout the admissions process here at Headington. And we have Natalie as well, who Natalie joined us in 2018 from Maryknoll Convent School, and she's currently in year 13, which is our upper six. And is approaching her A-levels. You know, lots of things going on there with Natalie, but it's very important that you hear from our current students as well, so that they can give you their knowledge and experience too. So a little bit later on, we have some additional people joining us for our panel, Mrs. Jordan, the head, and other members of our senior leadership team. But I think we'll kick off today with a short presentation about Headington. So we have a short film to start, just so it gives you a flavour of what Headington is all about. So just enjoy watching this for a couple of minutes before we see you again. Lovely, thank you. So sometimes the first surprise about Headington, we are actually a city school and we're only a mile from the city centre. But as you can see from this shot of our campus here, we're a very leafy green school set on 23 acres. We have an amazing kind of campus school. So all of our boarding houses are also on site here. So you can see almost the campus is like a big rectangle, and we have boarding houses at either end of the site. Great transport links to everywhere in the world actually as well. Just on that road that you can see to the left, you can get down to Heathrow Airport in about 45 to 50 minutes from right outside of the school gate. So it's extremely handy indeed. You'll have seen from our film that we are an academically selective school from year 3 upwards, believe it or not. But we're very proud of everything that our girls go on to do. And we really encourage them here to play to their strengths. There's a huge range of subjects at GCSE and at A level, and even more to come with the introduction of 3D design at GCSE and philosophy at A level this September. We have specialist assistants for those girls that are interested in going on to university to study medicine or veterinary science, architecture, and law, amongst other things. So there's a lot of support here for your daughter. Here's an idea of where our girls go on to after they have studied here at Headington. And you can see there's a whole range of subjects. There is no kind of one size fits all. There is no specific kind of Headington girl. They all do different things and they all have different strengths and passions. We're very, very strong on kind of STEM subjects. Lots of girls choose to go off onto different courses of that nature, and arts and humanities, as well as business and finance. I'll just move on to the next slide. My cursor has gone. So pastoral care. So you'll hear a lot about this later. And I know we've had some questions that have come in already about pastoral care. Pastoral care obviously is hugely important, particularly when you're considering sending your daughter so many miles away from home. We have a very strong support structure in place here for our boarding students as well as our day students. So within boarding, you can look forward to being supported by a house mistress, an assistant house mistress, a graduate student as well, a graduate assistant that is much closer to your daughter in age, as well as a matron and a 24/7 healthcare team. In terms of the academic support, there are 2 tutors per form. Here at Headington, and that feeds into a wider network of the head of year and the head of section, and then obviously the deputy heads and kind of the head of boarding as well slots into that structure. Boarding life is very much designed to be a home from home. That's what it should be like. It's definitely not like the kind of boarding kind of stories of like 50, 60 years ago. It's designed for your daughter to enjoy and to have fun, and obviously to have those connections with you at home that are so much easier now with things like video call. Not something to attempt today, I don't think. We're in the middle of Storm Eunice at the moment, so this is something you do when the weather is much better. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about character education as well. This is something that we're really passionate about here at Headington. It's not just about academic success. We are very keen on developing skills for the future, whether that be the world of work or, you know, personal skills for the future that will help you deal with whatever life decides to throw at you. There's a huge array of academic enrichment opportunities, a huge array of things to do if you are into art or dance, drama, music, or sport. And it's very much about developing those skills that employers are looking for too. So things like teamwork, leadership, creativity, collaboration, curiosity, courage, and a sense of humour. All of these things are so important as we head into the world of work. The new high facility that we created here at Headington that opened kind of last April has given us a huge opportunity to offer new subjects in terms of things like creative engineering and design and photography and history of art. And it's definitely the case that employers are looking for those creative skills of the future. There'll be jobs that exist that we don't even know about yet. So it's a very exciting time to go out into the world. Here are just some of the activities that you can do in the Hive, from fashion textiles to fine art, to 3D design, architecture, ceramics, you name it. Drama is very popular here as well. We have a huge number of girls that take part in all of our drama productions each year, and it's great for developing confidence and creativity in particular. And if you don't want to be front and centre on stage, you can help behind the scenes as well, whether that be lighting, stage management, that kind of thing. It makes for a really kind of fun part of school life. Dance is another thing that's hugely popular here, and we've just recently, over the last 2 nights, had our Mind, Body and Soul dance show with about a quarter of the school taking part in all sorts of dance, from ballet to contemporary to street dance. So if your daughter loves dance or wants to try dance, then this is a very good place in which to do it. Music as well, hugely popular. Loads and loads of different instruments on offer, and the accompanying ensembles and orchestras, lots of opportunities for your daughter to perform and to keep perfecting her skills in music, along with singing as well, whether that be traditional chamber singing or kind of pop and jazz as well. I can't think of many sports that we don't offer here either. So if your daughter wants to try a whole range of new things, whether it be lacrosse or hockey or rock climbing or Pilates, everything is on offer here, because we recognise that girls, once they get to a certain age, they might not want to play competitive sport, or they might not want to do cross country, for example. So it's really important that they have a huge range of choice in terms of things that they want to do. So I think what I will do now is I'm going to pop Natalie up just to give us a quick overview of how she has found her life so far at Headington. Natalie, are you happy to tell the audience about your time at Headington?
So this is my 4th year in Headington School, and I have a really amazing time there, because even in the boarding, we have a really amazing community, and they try to take care of us as much as we needed, and all the pastoral care. And also at the side of academics, we have great support, where even for my admission into Cambridge University, they have helped me along the way with personal statements, and even also all kinds of interview preparation. So I think it's a very nice place to study at.
Brilliant, thank you, Natalie. And Anna, would you be able to just run through kind of admissions and how we operate with Battie and Academic Asia as well in terms of admissions?
Yes, that's absolutely no problem. So Battie and her team are very knowledgeable about Headington School. They know the admissions process back to front. So what you need to do is contact them. They will help you very much. They will show you how to do the online registration. We have an online registration form that you fill in and pay the registration fees. And then you sit the exams with them. This is normally sort of late October, where you sit the exams with them the year before you apply. We have our own papers, so we write our own papers here at Headington. We are a selective school, so you need to sit our exams and have online interviews as members of staff. And then we offer places following that. But what I would say is contact Battie and her team, because they are very good with our admissions process.
Thank you. Battie, do you want to say anything about how it works from your perspective?
Sure. I think that normally we would like to invite students to come over to our office to take our screening test first, because as Anna said, Headington is a selective school, so we will need the student to have reached a benchmark in our screening test before we would recommend the student to apply to Headington School. So maybe the first thing to do is at the moment, COVID is quite serious in Hong Kong, so I wouldn't recommend student to do the test now, but maybe in 1 or 2 months' time when COVID improves in Hong Kong, we would like to invite your child to come over to take our screening test, and we'll guide you through the application procedure.
Lovely, thank you. And I'm joined now by the rest of our panel, so I'll introduce you to them as I pop them on the screen. Here's Mrs. Jordan, who is our headmistress, and we have Simon Hawkes, who is the first deputy.
Hello, hi there.
And we will have Dr. Stanton, who is the deputy head academic, and Amanda Proctor, who is the deputy head pastoral, very shortly, I think. Oh, let's just have a look. Here we go. Here is Amanda Proctor, who's our deputy head pastoral. And here is Dr. Stanton, who's our deputy head academic. So we're delighted to be able to take questions now from the audience. So I do have some that we've received already. So I think we will start with those. And then if you have additional questions, please feel free to tap them into the chat function on the right-hand side. And we will do our very best to answer all of the questions as we go through. So I think I'm going to pop Caroline up to take the first question, because this is a really great question for us. It was, what are the characteristics of students of your school?
That's a really tough one in many ways, because we have so many different types of girls. And to take it another way, I will talk about some of the things we want to see in them, but there's no such thing as a specific Headington girl. They're all very different, and we really welcome that and encourage them to explore their differences when they're going to come to the school. Many of them will come with an idea of the sorts of things they might want to get involved in, maybe even the sorts of things they want to do when they leave the school. But we would like them to be open to the fact that they actually will discover new things about themselves, new talents they didn't even know they had, maybe try things they've never even heard of, and really benefited from that. But it's very important that we get them to have a lot of confidence in the way they're going to go forward. Now, sometimes our girls who are coming to us from Hong Kong aren't naturally that confident in larger groups, not maybe speaking in a classroom, may not be something that they've done as much as we would expect them to do. And why we do that is we like to work collaboratively, where they're working in groups, in small groups in the classroom, so they get used to putting their points forward, getting listened to and discussed, those types of things they're talking about, academic things, or indeed other pastoral issues. We want to hear from them. So we try and get them working in groups together. We also want to make sure that we concentrate on their creative side. Now, so many of your girls are fantastic musicians and fantastic artists. We want to give them that opportunity to do those things again with others. Maybe being orchestras, maybe get involved doing dance show. We had an amazing dance show last night, 150 girls involved in dance, many of our boarders being involved in dance and really enjoying that. Trying some of those different creative things, but also developing them in a different area. We now have a creative and engineering courses in our wonderful new hive. They've been incredibly popular, and many of those girls are now thinking about carrying them on to GCSE, and indeed that'll be further on. We know that girls need to have a creative outlook as they go out into the world, be able to look at things in different ways. There are so many employers now who aren't just looking at results for A-levels, GCSEs, even degrees. They're looking for girls who can show that they've got resilience, that they're used to working in a team, that they're confident, and they really know their own strengths. They're the things we're really looking for. Brilliant.
Thanks, Caroline. Anne-Marie, can I pop you up to answer some academic questions? So I think some of these are related to sixth form. So there's a question about what GCSE results or predicted grades will grant admittance into our sixth form.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Our entry requirements for sixth form very much focus on the subject choices that each individual has made. So we do expect a grade 7 at GCSE in the subject that a girl wants to take to A-level. Having said that, we also believe very strongly that good mathematical skills do underpin successful science A-level experiences. So we do like to have a mathematics level 7 for our A-level scientists. Additionally, we also have 8 subjects in our suite of choices for sixth formers that don't exist at GCSE level. And in order to gauge the suitability of pupils choosing those subjects, we talk about facilitating subjects. So if you're interested in doing politics or philosophy or history of art, just examples of some of the new subjects available, we would be looking for a grade 7 at English language or in another essay-based subject at GCSE. And psychology counts as a science subject, so we'd be looking at the same sort of skills that we would for our A-level scientists there. Photography, another new subject, part of the suite of subjects available in our hive. We would expect really strong performance in fine art behind that, or some sort of significant portfolio of work. So I hope that answers the question about subject requirements.
Lovely, thanks, Anne-Marie. And somebody's asked if we could talk a little bit about the fashion and textiles programme to A-levels.
Is that specifically an A-level question, Julia?
I think we could probably do the pathway, actually, kind of,
Yeah.
GCSE up to A-level.
Absolutely. So I think that the great enthusiasm for fashion textiles and the brilliant successes of our students at it, really carried by amazing teaching and amazing facilities. The subject is on offer throughout the school. So the young ones start by experimenting with textile, understanding different textiles and how they work, and developing the skills involved in them. So that's everything from knitting, sewing, stitching, hand stitching, as well as developing quite advanced machining skills. The GCSE is a very popular option. We have about 25 students taking it at the moment. So they will be engaging with the work of different designers, again, getting a really, really deep understanding of textile manufacturing, dyeing, and different multimedia approaches to fashion textiles, everything from the sort of traditional weaving to much more digitally driven designs. We have a fabulous opportunity for them to look at the eco designs and development of dyes that they can work on themselves and just see those colours coming to life and how they interact with different materials. The GCSE is examined by a portfolio of creative work as well as by an exam task that they have to do. I would say that the A-level has a slightly different focus. It's more focused on the sort of commercially relevant parts of fashion design and textile and theory and practice. So there's a greater written element in that exam, where they are expected to have quite high level of knowledge of design principles as well as the technical principles. And again, we have about 20 or so sixth formers taking the subject. And over the years, we've had a great number of students who've gone on to study either fashion design or interior design with that A-level. And indeed, some have gone into more commercial directions, looking at marketing and fashion. So it's a big part of our creative offer at Headington.
Lovely. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Amanda, I've got a few pastoral type questions now, because obviously for parents thinking about sending their daughters from so far away to the UK for boarding. So it was really, how do we look after our international students, and how do we deal with, the odd friendship issue that might occur?
Yeah, of course. So we take a lot of time to make sure that the girls can settle in, and that starts before they arrive. The house mistress and potentially some of the girls in there will also be trying to organising online. I think there's a bit of feedback. on here at the moment. Sorry. So we take a lot of time before they arrive getting to know the girls and trying to make sure that they're put in contact with boarders who are already here. The house mistresses will try and do some online meetings with them as well, because it is daunting coming to a different country, a different school, perhaps with experience of boarding, but perhaps not. And so we take a lot of time at the start of the academic year, really making sure that the girls can settle in. A lot of activities within the boarding houses and across the boarding community, as well as within the broader day school as well, to make sure that everyone makes friends, feels settled, gets to know one another, and knows who they can go to talk to if they need that little bit of extra support. So your daughter's tutors, their heads of year, their heads of section, their house mistress team, they will all be there to look after the girls and really make sure they settle in. We really encourage all of the girls to, above all, be kind to one another. I think that's the most important message, whether they're coming in at upper 3 or whether they're joining us in the 6th form. That sort of encouragement to everyone to be welcoming, to be inclusive, to be friendly, to be kind, to recognise that people have all sorts of different personalities and characteristics, and some find it harder than others to settle in and to make and sustain sort of friendships. So we very much put in place an awful lot of different activities to help that sort of thing to happen.
Lovely, thank you. And there's a question about kind of obviously coronavirus and how we've been dealing with that and how we're going to continue to deal with that.
Yeah, so very much at the moment, over the last year, our sort of approach has altered. We have systems in place within the boarding houses, particularly for boarders who are with us, that if they test positive, and the girls are testing fairly regularly, if they test positive for coronavirus, they go and they're looked after in our health centre by our team of nurses. And so they isolate there, they're looked after, and they come straight back into school. Thankfully, most of the requirements for testing to travel have been lifted now, and we haven't had too many cases sort of recently. The houses are all set up to look after the girls and to make sure that everything is in place for them. And so it's been a relatively sort of smooth transition, but we do realise that there are still sort of concerns. Some of the girls, when they're here, are concerned to hear about outbreaks that are happening at home, and we're very much there to support them with that. But I think everyone has very much almost got used to dealing with it. So we have lots of measures in school to sort of promote ventilation, to promote sort of distancing where it's required, to make sure that we are, continuing with the messaging around sort of hygiene, and that seems to be working very well.
Lovely, thank you. And there was a question about guardians as well. So the guardians that our boarding pupils have.
Yeah. So the guardians play a really important role. And as parents, it's really important that you choose a guardian that you think will suit your daughter. The guardians are in effect taking your place when your daughters are over in this country with us. Obviously, for most of the time, they are going to be in school in the boarding houses, and we and the pastoral team, the house mistress team, are the people who will be looking after them. But there may be occasions when your daughter needs to go away from school. If she was unwell and it was a sort of an illness that needed convalescence, and we felt that actually being in the health centre wasn't the right place to be, a guardian can well be called upon to provide that emergency accommodation, just to look after her and give her that sort of extra care, so that she can recover properly before coming back to school. Obviously, the guardians are also there to provide potentially host accommodation and host families during our school holidays. And so it's really important that that family or that person that your daughter is going to go and stay with is someone that can look after them and they will feel comfortable with. There are all sorts of different types of guardianship available. There are sort of agencies like Aegis who can provide, in effect, lots of contacts that you can explore. Some people will have friends and family within the UK that they will ask to provide that guardianship, and that's absolutely fine. The most important thing is it's someone who can step in an emergency, someone who will be prepared to host your daughter from time to time and take responsibility for her, and potentially act at short notice as well, if required.
Thank you, Amanda. Caroline, could I ask you to talk about the main entry points to the school and then follow that up with kind of class sizes and things like that?
Yes, indeed. We have an entry point at 11. There's quite a few who come to us at 11. A few boarders will come at 11 and they get looked after in a wonderful boarding house, which is very much a family-run boarding house. And it's like something a bit like out of Mallory Towers. It's a lovely old building, and it's just a very friendly place. And the girls will be in dormitories, maybe sort of 3, 4 in a dormitory, so they really get a sense of being part of this sort of, with lots of big sisters and other girls. It's a lovely, lovely place. Then there's a big intake, a larger intake from Hong Kong into our year 9s, which is at 13 plus. And at that point, the school itself goes from our lowest school, which will have classes of about between 20 and 24 in most classes, no larger than 24, but often not much smaller than 20 unless you're doing something specific like food and nutrition or some of the art classes. Those sorts of things would be smaller, but otherwise mainly that sort of size. But when you get to middle school, which is the beginning of year 9, a 13 plus entry, the classes tend to be about that size. Towards GCSE, they get a bit smaller. And there's a good number who come into us from academic Asia into our year 9, our 13 plus. Then we have a very small entry in the year after, straight into the GCSEs. It's small because it isn't a change actually of the size of the school. It's just that there's any spare places after we've had the girls that have come into year 9. So it is a very, very competitive entry. The girls who come into us from academic Asia are very, very good entrants at that point, and it's lovely to have them, but there aren't a lot of spaces. I think it's worth parents understanding that there's more spaces if you come in year 9, and in many cases, if you can let your daughter come earlier at that point, it's a good thing to do. She'll get a really good time in that year 9, trying loads and loads of different subjects, allowing her to get used to British education in a British boarding school. And that allows her to make those choices for her GCSEs, actually knowing what it's going to be like at Headington doing those subjects coming in for a year 10. So that's why coming at 13 plus is better than 14 plus. But we have a very good intake, 16 plus into sixth form. Very good number of girls who come in at that point and do incredibly well. Class sizes by the time we get in the sixth form, maximum will be about 12 to 14, but most of them are about 8 or 9. Occasionally you'll get smaller classes depending upon the subject, but mainly it's sort of around 8 or 9 in each one. Hope that helps.
Lovely, thank you. Simon, can I ask you to talk about dance opportunities here before we move on to the questions on the side? Oh, you're on mute.
Someone had to do that. I did it for everyone else. Caroline mentioned earlier the fantastic dance show that took place last night and the night before. There were 150 girls taking part in that dance show, and that just shows how popular dance is in school. It's actually part of our curriculum, so all the girls in year 7 and 8 do curriculum dance, alongside their PE and games lessons. It's really, really popular. It's then an option in upper 4 in year 9, and it's also an option for those that want to study dance academically at GCSE and A level. But that's not all. There's loads of extracurricular dance. So there's opportunities to do ballet lessons. So we have an excellent Royal Academy of Dance ballet teacher who delivers one-on-one and small group sessions all the way through the different ability ranges of ballet. And they take place in the evenings or during the school day, and also at the weekend as well, which is really useful for boarders. We do those on Saturday morning. We have a whole range of dance companies and contemporary dance clubs that happen throughout the week for all different ages and levels of ability as well. And that's really important. If your daughter's a really enthusiastic dancer, she'll be able to find other girls operating at that high level. If she's just getting into dance, there'll be more relaxed clubs where she can build her confidence. And we have our absolutely fantastic and very popular Saturday Dance Academy, which is really good for boarders. It's on site in our really fantastic dance studio. And that's an opportunity for girls to do up to 2 hours of professional contemporary dance training. And we build into that lots of opportunities to perform throughout the year. We have the dance show we've had this week, but we also have the Dance Academy show coming up in the summer, scholars performances and smaller performances at different times throughout the year. And the final thing we have that I didn't mention is a very popular series of street dance classes. So contemporary dance, ballet and street dance are all very well covered here at Headington.
Lovely, thank you. And can I ask you to talk about trips generally at school? Because that's something that's taken a bit of a hit over the past 2 years, but what we would normally do.
Yeah, so it has taken a hit, absolutely, both domestic and international trips, but we're just starting to build our program back up. But if I talk about the usual program of trips, it's something that we engage with enthusiastically here at Headington. So first of all, just thinking about all of our girls, day and boarding, we run a whole series of academic enrichment trips all the way through the school year. So the younger girls will do things like they'll go to Chedworth Roman Villa, taken by the classics department. They'll do that in the summer, and they'll do outward bound trips and bonding trips to scout camps and so forth. And they'll do museum visits as well. As the girls get a bit older and get into middle school and sixth form, they'll have really focused academic trips. So if they're an artist, they might go to see a specific gallery exhibition. If they're a scientist, they might go to a science exhibition. We do GCSE Science Live is coming up, and we've had pupils going to that in Oxford. We're very lucky to have lots of great galleries and trip destinations in Oxford, and we obviously are close to London as well. So there's lots of opportunities in London. But we also do trips in the evenings, both for day and boarding. So we've got lots of other local boarding schools, boys' schools and girls' schools, and we get together to do socials. So, for example, in the week after half term, I'm taking some sixth form girls, a mixture of day and boarding. I'm taking them to Radley for a quiz and dinner competition, which will be really good fun. And then, of course, at the weekends, there are trips exclusively for boarders. So the boarding community organises trips for the girls to the theatre, to shopping centres, cultural outings as well. So they get to see Oxford and London as part of their experience here at Headington.
Lovely, thank you. I'm going to move to some questions now that have come in on the panel. So, Caroline, can you start off with this one about US universities and support for applications?
Yes, we do. We have quite a few girls who try for US universities, and indeed, some of them get scholarships out there. They will go for a wide range of the liberal arts courses. So we've got girls currently at Harvard, Yale, not just Ivy League, University of Texas, University of Chicago, lots and lots of different places. Princeton, I think Princeton is Ivy League actually. So Stanford. So there are lots who do look at US universities. Some will apply to US and the UK at the same time. That's quite a heavy load to do both applications. We will support them. We have somebody in school who is designated for overseas university support. And actually at this point, it's worth saying, he also looks after the girls who are applying to HKU and University of Chinese Hong Kong University as well. And indeed, we do get some of our girls from Hong Kong who will look at Australia, will look at Japan. So in fact, we very much support girls into universities around the world.
Great, thank you. And do you want to explain a little bit about how we choose girls to join us here at Headington?
So we do have an entrance test. It will depend upon the age as to what type of entrance test it's going to be. It's not heavily curriculum based. We're looking for girls who've got the right ability in English. It's definitely important to say that. They need to have the right ability in English, so they're going to be able to cope in a mainstream English classroom. We do have some EAL, which is English as an additional language teaching when they first get here, but their needs going to be able to cope with a quite vibrant classroom where there's lots of speaking to each other, so they'll be able to speaking and listening is really important. So therefore, we do have a English test that they will have to take, and we want a particular level of that English test. We also ask for a mathematics test. Now, most of our girls from Hong Kong do amazingly well in that, so that's not a problem. We don't tend to test for lots of different subjects. We're looking more at a sort of general entry, even for sixth form, because it's not about they know a specific thing to do an A-level. We need to have those ground in English and maths that are fine for them to be able to do sixth form subjects. So we also have an interview. Now, normally, it seems a long time ago now, we absolutely love coming over and meeting your daughters in person. And we have a wonderful thing called Top Schools that Battie runs with Academic Asia, and we absolutely love coming and spending time in Hong Kong with you and our current parents and our alumni. We have over 400 alumni in Hong Kong, many parents and ex-parents. We have a very, very vibrant Headington community. So we normally come over every September. Sadly, that has not been the case recently, but we've continued to interview, and we interview through Academic Asia to get that set up, and we will interview you over Skype or whichever platform Academic Asia want to use, and we will give you exactly the same interview questions, just remotely. And at that point, we're really trying to find out from your daughter the sorts of things she enjoys doing, the fact that she will be really approaching the education and wanting to have a go at lots of different things. That's what we're really looking for.
Lovely, thank you. And I've got a couple of questions here about whether we accept students into year 11.
Yeah, we received 1 year in, so except year 11 who've received 1 year. So if we won't accept anybody into year 11, if they're 1 year through the IGCSE. However, if that question means they've done an IGCSE curriculum in just 1 year in year 11, and there are some providers who do that, if she's got the right entry, we will accept her as long as she takes the application and reaches our criteria into year 12. So they can do just a 1 year IGCSE curriculum elsewhere, but we can't accept them halfway through IGCSE into year 11.
Okay, thank you. And just on the same ilk, so obviously not everybody does GCSEs, so how that works?
No, indeed, and very much that is our entry. So our entry papers will completely cover that with their interview. That's not a problem.
Lovely, thank you. Natalie, I've got a question about boarding life. So would you like to answer that for us and tell everybody what your experiences of boarding life have been?
Sure. I really enjoyed the boarding life in Headington because I've got a large group of friends where they help me through when I'm sad or when I'm happy. They're always there with me, and we always share meals together. And for example, in the sixth form, there's the cube where we can all study together and hang out. So boarding life in Headington has been amazing. And also with the weekend trips, for example, to Westfield or Thorpe Park, or sometimes even to London with museums. And this is what I enjoyed a lot from lower 5 to upper 6 boarding.
Lovely, thank you. And as I said earlier, we look forward to seeing you back soon when you fly back to the UK. Lovely, thank you. Anna, I'm just going to pop you up to answer a few questions on kind of entrance procedures, really. So okay. Let me just look. So do you want to start off with that one?
We don't do the UKI test for Headington School. Battie has already talked about the pre-test that they do at Academic Asia, just to make sure your daughter is at the right level to apply to Headington. So that's why you would need to approach Academic Asia first and go and see them and talk to them about the testing for Headington School.
Lovely, thank you. And then this one for kind of students that normally live overseas but are here in the UK, what the procedures would be for our entrance exam here.
Yeah, so for our entrance exams at Headington, all our candidates get the same papers, whether they're international or they're already at day school in the UK, everyone will fit the same papers. So there's no differentiation depending on where your child is at school at the moment. If she is at school in the UK, she may want to actually come in for our entrance exam to the school, which she can do if she can travel here.
Lovely, thank you. Let's just hide that one. It's fine. Caroline is hiding behind the horse at the top there. This is an interesting question. I don't really like that, do we?
No, we don't look at that. We are a very competitive school. It's worth saying it's actually quite hard to get in Headington because so many girls want to come to Headington. That doesn't make a difference about whether you're boarding place or indeed a day place. The reality is we are incredibly popular at the moment, and there's a lot of people trying to get to the school. So it doesn't get easier to be in a day school than in boarding. I would say that they are, in fact, one girl who is a boarder was just talking to me a couple of minutes ago, actually at break time, because we're obviously in school at the moment. Well, there's a massive storm in the UK today, so we haven't got all of our girls in school. and she was explaining to the chaplain who I was with how where are you going for half term. And she explained, although her family originally from Hong Kong, that she lives just outside Oxford, but she's a boarder because she loves being in boarding. So I think it's worth saying, as to whether you would like to be a day girl or a boarder, I think there's a significant difference to the experience you get being in a boarding school. So I think if you have the option to be a boarder, that's a great thing to do. It's just sort of really the added extras onto Headington education. And as we said, we had a dance show last night. I mean, on Tuesday night, we had our options evening for our year 9s, and on Monday night I was in a concert. So that is 3 different events that year group were in school for. In fact, they were in the dance show twice. So 4 different, if you were a girl in our year 9, there were 4 things you were doing in school in the evening this week. So it's far better to be a boarder if you can have that option rather than a day girl.
Lovely, thank you. Very important question here about food, Amanda.
Yeah. No, food is very important to the girls. I think maybe if I explain sort of how they do it and where they go during the working week, so Monday to Friday, the girls will get up and they'll come over for breakfast in the dining room, and there is a huge choice of options, from continental breakfast to a cooked breakfast to cereal to yogurts to fresh fruit. There's a huge array of different options. At lunchtime, all of the girls in school will eat together, and again, there's a fantastic array of different things, from sort of different pastas, jack potatoes, salads, soups, to hot food, and sort of a variety of different options, whether that's meat, fish, vegan, vegetarian, lots and lots of different things that the girls can choose from. And the same thing then happens in the evening. The girls come over for supper. Again, it's a very similar choice to what they have at lunchtime. And we do, our catering team are brilliant. They adapt and they cater for all sorts of different dietary needs and requirements. And they also do from time to time some sort of specific international evenings or themed events for food. And often with boarding, the girls have some input into that. So they may well decide on the menus across a particular evening. And at the weekends, we are a little bit more relaxed, and there's a bit more variety in how we do the catering. So during the weekends, the girls have their breakfast in-house in the boarding house, so they can get up a little bit later. It can be a bit more relaxed, and the house mistress team will look after them and cater for them at breakfast. They will then tend to come together at lunchtime and in the evening for their evening meals. But occasionally we'll also do some catering in-house as well. So, for example, the Davenport girls will frequently, as a Saturday activity, do some cooking themselves, and then have a bit of a dinner party around sort of the big table in their social areas. And similarly, I know that the sixth formers have had some curry evenings recently. They've been doing cooking with their matron who's there some evenings. So there's quite a variety, but the food generally is very good. And we have a food committee. So if the girls are sort of feeling that it's not catering for their needs, those committees meet regularly. They meet with the head of boarding and with the catering manager, and they can give their feedback. So the things that they like, the things that they're not so keen on, the things that they like more of, and suggestions for alternatives as well. And we try and adapt what we offer to that feedback that they give.
Lovely, thank you. Caroline, just one of the questions that we had that came in before this event was asking about the curriculum. So do you want to maybe explain about the curriculum and how we've changed it recently for GCSE choices?
Yes, very happy indeed. So we know that that there doesn't have to be a huge number of particular GCSE courses that are required to take A-levels. And in fact, we've just talked earlier about some girls who will join us internationally who don't do GCSEs at all. There are certain facilitating subjects that need to be taken in order to do A-levels. Maths is a facilitating subject for all the sciences, and indeed for obviously maths and things like psychology as well. Economics is very useful as well. English or a good essay subject is really important for all of our essay subjects. And science also for science subjects, but you don't necessarily have a specific GCSEs for most of those other subjects at A-level. And so for that reason, it's given us a bit of an opportunity to look at what we do in middle school, which is years 9, 10, and 11, and just try and work out about giving the opportunities for the girls to have as much choice as they can and develop their interests. So we have a certain subjects they have to do, maths and English and a science, but beyond that, they have different levels of choices. And there are literally lots of choices that they can do. And we have also included some additional subjects as well as GCSE. There is a business course, a finance course, which I think will be very popular. And indeed, we now have a mini MBA, which we're offering in the sixth form. So this is a good way of seeing the sort of thing you want. That's a year 10 course, year 10 just for 1 year. There's also something called the higher project qualification, which is also being offered in year 10 just for 1 year. And that is a very good precursor for the extended project qualification that many of our girls will take at sixth form. And indeed, universities will look to make entry choices based on EPQs as well as A-levels. And we also have a New College of Humanities, a philosophy project as well that can be done. So one of those 3 can be done as well as 9 different GCSEs. And out of those 9, there aren't that many restrictions. And it means that girls can really tailor the sort of subjects around the things that they might want to explore. So we have got girls, for example, who are really keen classicists, who are doing Latin, Greek, and classical civilization, as well as 3 sciences, maybe German and English and maths. We've got other girls who will be taking all 3 sciences and will be carrying on with music and with art and with textiles. So there's lots and lots of different options for those girls. I can see the sun's come out. Unbelievable. The sun, we have this great big storm and now the sun's come out. So I'm going to have to put up my blind in a minute. I'm being blinded literally by the sun. So there's lots of different opportunities we have at GCSE. At A-level, again, there's a huge number of choices, as well as this wonderful extended project qualification I've just mentioned. And that's a great opportunity. And the universities will give them offers based on extended project qualification, as well as their A-levels.
Lovely, thank you. Natalie, I've got a question here, actually, about hours of lessons. So firstly, do you want to tell everybody what A-level subjects you're taking? And then maybe you can answer that one for us.
Personally, I do 4 A-levels. It's French, Maths, Geography, and History. But for people who do 3 A-levels, there would be 5 lessons in 1 week A and 4 lessons in week B. So that would be a total of 11 lessons for each subject throughout the fortnight. I don't think it's a lot of work as long as you like the subject a lot and ready to put in the work for the subject that you're dedicated to.
Brilliant, thank you. And Simon, where have you gone? Lost you. Has he disappeared? I was going to put Simon back up, but he's had to disappear. So I will ask Caroline to just kind of probably finish off, I think, by just talking about the shape of the day, really, and how that works here, and what else girls tend to do as part of their curriculum.
Yes, so the girls will get up in the morning and come over and have this great breakfast that Amanda's told you about, which is really amazing. And then they will go into their first 2 lessons of the day. And then we all come together as forms to meet with your form tutors. There are 2 form tutors in lower middle school, mixture of day girls and boarders in each form, and they will look after them and we'll talk. We may have an assembly, we may have a prayers session where we all come together as nearly the whole school together. The chaplain will speak and we will have something really important to think about at that time, or it's just pastoral time with your tutors who are also delivering some of what's called our FHCChui program at the same time. So that's an important time to come in the center of the day. We then have break and then another 1 lesson or maybe 2, depending on time of lunchtime. Every week, the girls will have 2 extended lunch times, normally at the bottom of the school, which gives them an opportunity to do some activity at lunchtime, whether that's being playing for a sports team or just having doing some exercise or doing some singing or doing a craft club. Those sorts of things will be happening. And then we have lessons after lunch until 4 o'clock. Now at 4 o'clock, we have a lot of our day girls will stay on site. There's an awful lot that goes on during the time between 4 and 6, and you know, it's lots of girls doing lots and lots of different activities. There's 120 different activities we have on offer in any one week, so there's loads of things that they can do, and they'll be doing there with their day girl friends. And then from about 6, under normal circumstances, I said this week was different. We had concerts and plays and dance shows and things, which meant the day girls were here till much later. But normally at 6 o'clock it becomes a boarding environment. We have supper, go back to the boarding house, get some work done. There's always space for them to get their work done, and when they're a bit younger, it's a bit more supervised, make sure they're getting on with it. And then a bit of downtime, bit of rest time, have some fun, maybe pick up the phone, talk to you at home at that time, and before they get to bed, and they get a good night's sleep, and then they're up ready the next morning.
Lovely, thank you. And there was a question that came in previously about, you know, our international community within school, and there's another similar question that's come up there about, you know, the different communities that we have within school of different nationalities. Do you want to say a little bit about that?
Yes, we have. We are a large school. That's the first thing to say. So we have a boarding community of about 200 girls. So that is a quarter of the school. However, the other 3/4 are girls who are very international in their outlook, because Oxford is a very, very cosmopolitan city, and we have lots and lots of parents who are either at both universities, Oxford University and Brookes, and indeed we have 9 hospitals locally. We've got a science park to the south, so we have a lot of international families amongst our day girl families as well. But out of those 200, there's a significant number of girls who are weekly or indeed full boarders who are UK based, but it's about a quarter of them. Out of the other 3/4, so there's about 150 girls, most of them are international girls. And out of those girls, there are a large number who do come from Hong Kong. But we do have other countries there as well, and that's great. And we really welcome other girls, whether they're from the US or they're from other places in Europe. We have some girls from Saudi Arabia and other girls from Russia and Ukraine and other places. So it's quite an international community. We've even got an Australian at the moment, which is great.
Brilliant, thank you. Amanda, do you want to add anything to you know, how we look after our international boarders and help them to integrate?
No, I mean, I think at the beginning I talked a little bit about our induction program. The tutors spend a lot of time trying to get to know the girls. And we have a great array of sort of prefects as well. Our befrienders, our wellbeing prefects. Prefects are attached to each of the form groups as well. So they will spend time with individual girls, whether they're boarders, whether they're new, whether they're pre-existing pupils, whether they've been here a long time, whether they're day girls. So there is that focus on just making sure that everyone settles in. For our overseas students, one of the highlights of the year is International Week, which is coming up sort of immediately after half term. And a lot of our boarding community get really involved in that. And we try and showcase all of the different sort of cultural experiences that this diverse community brings to Headington. And we have a fantastic night in the theatre with all sorts of music and dance and creative performances that really celebrate everything that the girls can do and that they bring to school. And that also rolls into sort of the week for everyone else, with some of those performances being repeated in prayers and assemblies, and a sort of real focus on sort of the variety that diverse community brings to school life. So there's a huge array of different girls from different places, and they work really well together, and they do support one another. I think one of the real strengths of the school community is the way in which girls make friendships and really look out for one another, and they'll very much be there with the staff to make sure that everyone feels that they found their place and they found their niche within school.
Lovely, thanks Amanda. I think we're almost out of time, so I'm going to put Battie up now to say some closing words.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the valuable information from the Headington team. And thank you all, parents and students, for the very good questions that you've asked, especially the one about food. Honestly, I can reassure you, I've been to Headington before and I had a meal there. The food is really, really good. So please don't worry about it. So I hope you all enjoyed the webinar and found it fruitful. If you are interested in applying for Headington School or you have any further questions, please do feel free to contact Academic Asia. We are most happy to guide you through the application procedure and collect your further questions and get back to you after consultation with the school. Thank you once again for joining us and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.